Hello, Robinson ISD. I'm James Hughes, one of the curriculum integration specialists here with our district. I'm here today with Ms. Meaghan Lewis. She's one of the Algebra 1 and Geometry teachers here at our high school. And we're going to talk about how her class has been so amazing for her students this year. And so to start, if you would just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am married, my husband John, and I have twin 3-year-olds. Nolan is a boy and Ryan is a girl. I have been in education. This is my 10th year. I have spent 8 of those years here at Robinson and 2 years at Clifton. I have taught at the junior high, 8th grade math, as well as Algebra 1 at the 8th grade level, and I currently teach Algebra 1 and Geometry here. I did have 1 year of health too, so a little bit of... A little different there.
So mixing it up a little bit, I like it. So to this point, your 10 years of education, who's had the biggest impact on you and your style of teaching with your students?
So that would be my best friend, Amber Clemons. She teaches at the junior high. She's pretty fabulous. She really got into Twitter and really got into a lot of the things that we do today. We started a little bit together with doing some stations, thinking outside the box a little bit a couple years ago, and she kind of ran with it, and I kind of stayed behind a little bit, and when she was telling me about it, it made me really excited. That's why I went back into math as opposed to health. And so she had a really big impact on my teaching career, but also Twitter. So that actually got me going. So kind of through her, I did the Ditch Summit this past summer, and then I did the Hive Summit. So I got to hear some different philosophy, different subjects of people, talking big. I guess you would say bigwigs of education.
I love that. I love you've been teaching a little while, and so you're a seasoned teacher, but these are things that you did last summer. These are things. It sounds like you're constantly learning. And I've been in your class a few times. Now it definitely doesn't look like a traditional room.
Right.
And so, would you tell us a little bit about just kind of your setup and your overall ideas for it?
Okay, so I did start a flexible seating. I got on Facebook Marketplace and bought a couple of couches for like $50. Some people just basically almost give them away, and they're pretty nice. And so the kids, when they come in, that's something they're really excited about. But I have some standing places. I actually turned a bookshelf into, put some stools behind it, and so made it look a little bit different. Just a different place. The kids get to, for the most part, pick where they sit. My class is not very traditional in that there's I would probably say no 2 people at the exact same place in the exact same time. It's pretty chaotic. There's lots, I would say, talking. I encourage talking. I'm not quiet. It doesn't have to be quiet. I actually, now with twin 3-year-olds, I don't do quiet.
Right.
So it's not very quiet. So you come in and they're mainly Chromebooks. So there's lots of paper, pencil, marker boards, markers, erasers. Right. And so they are going to town. So they have a video lesson. So lots of headphones in, watching a video lesson. They have notes that go along with that kind of go along with the notes. And so the main meat of the instruction that they get is from a video. And my main thing is I saw this on Twitter this summer actually, was that more kids will learn more from a video than they will ever from a 60-minute lecture. And I thought that really, I was already going to do this, but this was just something that really kind of hit home with me. And I thought, you're right. Kids will not learn from a 60-minute lecture. But they will learn from a video. Kids are watching YouTube videos all the time now to learn different things, and so that's kind of what the part that I'm keying into is hoping that that's a big piece of their learning experience.
Well, and I like that because you hear about attention span is 8 minutes. You got to keep it to 8 minutes. Leap Forward's app has the timer starts at 8 minutes, right, just for that simple fact, and so creating videos helps you cut it down and limit it and get that impact. Plus, if students ever don't understand, they can go back and hear it. If Absolutely. It takes those students 2 or 3 times to hear it, they have that option. So another part of your classroom I really like is your gamification that you've been doing. Can you tell us a little bit about theme, the activities you're doing?
Sure. So my original theme for overall was Wild West, and I was just going to try it out with my geometry class. They're my guinea pigs, so I try just about anything out with them to see how it's going to play out. And so I kind of took off with that, but then I kind of went a different direction. I started doing a task board with my geometry kids, where they have different tasks to do. They have some tasks that they have to do. It's very similar to my playlist that I do with my Algebra 1. It's just not nearly as in-depth. And so then they have menu choices, and all of their points add up. So each task that they do adds points to their grade. So it is truly like a video game. You start off at 0, and you gain however much experience that you do. So, watching the video lesson gets you so many points. Answering questions correctly gets you so many points. Doing this gets you so many points towards your grade. And so that kind of led me to my amazing race that I started. My kids are kind of blah with the task board. They have done a couple of them. And so they just kind of came in, sat down, and just did their stuff. And so to me, it was boring. And that is one thing about me. I just don't do boring. Like if I'm bored, they're bored for sure.
Right.
Because this is something I'm passionate about, obviously. So I did a Raising Race in Schoology, so they had to do student completion. And so I had some roadblocks that they had to complete, and then I did some detours that they could choose. So it was still the same. Planning was the same. I still had tasks that they had to do. I still had menu choices that became my roadblocks and my detours. So my planning didn't change, but the main thing that I made it is that they had to make a 100 on their practice set. Well, I've had so many students in this, they've put me to work, actually. Instead of me standing over them saying, oh, do you need my help? Do you need my help? It's them. I'm bouncing back and forth during that time because they are like, I keep getting this one wrong. I keep getting a 20 instead of a 25. And so they keep wanting to get, obviously to move on. It's not that they are trying to, because they want necessarily a 100, but for the most part, that's what we're doing. I've done some breakouts, some digital breakouts. I had a student last week say, hey, I really like those, and so I really want you to continue doing that as a menu choice sometimes. And so just different things that kind of if a student likes this particular thing, so then that kind of can be their go-to for menu choices.
So two of the things that you're saying that I love is, they're having to earn that 100, and so they're getting that grit, and they're being taught that they just can't settle, that they're going to have to see it through, and so that idea. And I feel like you keep bringing up choice. Is that something you try to incorporate all the time with them, giving them some type of choice, or?
Absolutely, I think that we are in. I would say that that's one of the best ways to reach people in general is a choice. When you can give someone a choice, a lot of times they're going to choose the right thing. Even whenever you're talking about discipline, you have a choice. That's really how I discipline my kids. You have a choice. You can continue this, or you can have a consequence. And so in doing that, even doing that with my own 3-year-olds, I've noticed that they make the right choice. And so for the most part, I like having the choice so that they can choose. I don't like coming in and saying, you will watch this video, you will do the skill check, you will do blah blah blah. I like for it to be open to them. Now, if they can't make the right choices, sometimes I do have to kind of keep my finger on top of them, and you do have that occasionally, especially with freshmen. They kind of wander around and can find other things to do. Yeah. But for the most part, I think that choice is so big because they, like you said, like with the girl that loves doing the breakout, every single time I have a breakout, she's going to do the breakout. And so that's just something that's going to be something that she likes and she goes to. And so with those choices, they can choose which points they want to add up. That's, again, kind of still adds points to their grade. And so they have an opportunity to do really, really well on daily grades because of the multiple choices I give them.
Okay. One question that I feel like it's a topic that comes up with teachers, and you have multiple preps teaching 2 different subjects, right. Is how long does it take to develop all these activities? How do you create these activities? Because it sounds like a whole lot. You got choice boards and you've got different things. Does it take you forever to create all these things, or?
I would not say forever. I do like to find new things because I don't do boring. Right. And so anytime, like this past one, I added a new menu choice that I saw on Twitter. Again, okay. I'm always refer back to them because anytime I have 5 seconds, I can almost check Twitter and find something new, cool, or something for me to do. So The menu choices really don't take very long, especially once you have like a template that you can kind of refer back to. It's really good if you have, a teaching partner to kind of help you out, that will kind of split the work. So, hey, I'll make this and you make this, and then we can kind of put it all together. And so that does help too. That helps eliminate some of that. But the main thing would be the videos. I do take a long time to put a lot of thought into what I want to say, how I want to say it. And I also put them into Edpuzzle, which then embed questions. So that one I would say does take a little bit longer. But at the same time, I think that's the main thing. I'm not really standing in front of the class teaching anymore. So I have to make my videos very powerful, and not just kind of just go through a couple examples and rush through it really fast. And so I'm always wanting to look at ways to better those out. I have a little introduction that I show my face, and then I do through doceri where they don't see me as much, my face. And so I know that that's an important role and plays an important role is seeing and connecting the teacher's face to the content. And so that's something I'm looking forward to, helping out in the future.
Do you team up? Do you team up with anybody to help with
for geometry? And for geometry, I do. Aaron Snow, he does the videos. So mainly my kids really get instruction from him, and I'm kind of a side. I'm like almost like a teacher's aide, and really kind of co-teach with him in the video. I teach alongside of him, and technically in my class. And so he makes the videos, and I usually make the practices, and then we kind of split. And he'll be like, "Hey, I found this cool menu choice," or I'm like, "Oh, that's," and so we'll just all kind of compile it all together.
Right.
And so we all put it together. We have a Schoology resource group, and so we just drop things in there, and then we can just disperse them out to our courses there.
That's great. And having somebody that comes alongside you that has kind of a similar mindset, that's got to be huge. Yeah. Say there's a brand new teacher and they're trying to find their way. If you were to take them under your wings, what are a couple things you would tell them to do to get started with, if they wanted to teach like you or incorporate some of the things you do, how would you tell them to get started?
The main thing I would tell them is my big philosophy is mastery. And so to me, that's the main thing. And so when they can find their kids are mastering, I think that that's a big thing. I also like outside the box. I like finding new things and don't do boring. I mean, that's my main thing. If I'm bored, the kids are definitely going to be bored, and so I would definitely tell them, try not to be boring, right?
Absolutely.
And so this is definitely a tough question because that makes me think a little bit. But I would definitely get really familiar with Schoology or Google, or be a pretty proficient in something like that that's going to allow your students. And to be able to create, that's a big thing, is creation, is creating and showing their work, whether it's their thinking, how did you get there, and that kind of sort of thing. But creating is kind of a big key thing right now. That's what really businesses are looking for, creating and that kind of sort of thing. And so that's a big. So try to find ways to get your kids to create, not just answer facts back to you, but how can they create? How can they take what they've learned and create something with it?
That's powerful. Well, Meaghan, thank you so much for your time. Again, Ms. Meaghan Lewis, Robinson High School. Follow her on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
At Coach Louie 33.
At Coach Louie 33. You will not be disappointed. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.